Now they'll protect the right person. My mother-in-law, Diana, was practically gloating. She thought she turned my own dog against me. I smiled, not because I was amused, but because she had no idea just how wrong she was. The call came at 3 a.m., jerking me awake in my Seattle hotel room. I was attending a veterinary conference, and Diana knew exactly when I'd be gone. Her voice oozed satisfaction as she explained how she had fixed my relationship with Zeus, my German shepherd. I've shown him who really deserves his loyalty, she purred. Now he'll protect James from you instead of the other way around. At 32, I never expected to hear my mother-in-law proudly claim she'd stolen my dog's loyalty. But Zeus wasn't just any dog. He was a highly trained protection animal, bred and certified for personal security. I'd raised him from a puppy, trained him, worked with him. And Diana thought a few treats would undo all of that. That's interesting, I said, keeping my voice even. And how exactly did you manage that? She laughed, smug and self-assured. Oh, it was easy. I've been visiting while you're at work, showing him who's really part of this family. A few special treats, some training sessions. He knows better now. I closed my eyes, pushing down my anger. She had no idea what she was talking about, but she'd done something she truly believed would turn Zeus against me. You shouldn't have dogs anyway, she continued. How can you give James a proper family when you're always working with animals? At least now Zeus will be useful, protecting my son from your career ambitions. I exhaled slowly. I could have argued, could have told her exactly how wrong she was, but I didn't need to. Instead, I simply said, "Thank you for letting me know," and hung up. Then I reached for my laptop. The security cameras I'd installed after Diana's last helpful stunt, when she tried to redecorate my home office into a nursery while I was out of town, were about to prove useful once again. I logged in and scanned the live feed. Zeus was right where he should be, curled up on his bed in the living room. James was asleep upstairs, oblivious to his mother's late-night scheming. I rewound the footage. There she was, each afternoon, right on schedule, letting herself in with the spare key James had given her for emergencies. Every time she brought something, treats, carefully unwrapped from their original packaging. "These will help you understand," she cooed in one clip, holding out a piece of food. "She doesn't deserve your loyalty." My jaw tightened. Zeus took the treats. He was trained not to reject food from a familiar person. But I noticed the way he held his distance, the subtle tension in his posture. He wasn't fooled. Diana, in her ignorance, mistook his discipline for acceptance. What she didn't know, what she couldn't, was that Zeus wasn't just a guard dog. He was part of an elite program I'd helped develop at my clinic, training service animals for military veterans. His conditioning was far too advanced for bribery or manipulation. I grabbed my phone and called Mark, my lead veterinary technician. "Hey, I need you to check on Zeus," I said as soon as he answered. "My mother-in-law's been feeding him something." Run a full talk screen. "Diana again," he sighed. "Want me to check the footage too?" "Already doing that. But document everything." "And Mark?" "Security Protocol 3. Don't let her in." "You got it, Doc. Want me to tell James?" I hesitated. My husband was a good man, but when it came to his mother, he was blind. "Not yet. Let's see what we find first." By morning, the lab results were in. Zeus was fine, alert, healthy, but the treats, laced with a mild sedative. Nothing deadly, but enough to make him more pliable, more susceptible to new commands. Or so Diana thought. What the data actually showed was that Zeus had pretended to be affected, his vital signs steady, his behavior unchanged where it mattered. He'd been playing along. Then, just as I was about to call James, my phone rang again. "Diana, I just thought you'd want to know," she said, her voice syrupy sweet. "Zeus growled at your picture today. I showed him that photo of you from the mantel, and he finally showed his true feelings. It's better this way, really. Now James will be properly protected." I glanced at my screen. Zeus was at the clinic, resting in his kennel, completely calm. "That's fascinating," I said smoothly. "Tell me more about how you accomplished this miracle of retraining in just 3 days." She laughed. "Dogs know who they can trust. I just helped him see the truth about you." I smiled. "You certainly did, Diana. You certainly did." Because while she was busy trying to manipulate Zeus, I had been busy documenting every single thing she did. The security footage, The lab results, the fact that she had, knowingly and intentionally, attempted to drug a certified service animal. A federal offense. It's important to have everything documented, don't you think? I added casually. There was a pause. I could almost hear her confidence waver. What do you mean? Oh, you'll see, I murmured. Very soon. As I hung up, I opened my laptop and began drafting an email to the state veterinary board, to animal control, to the authorities. Diana had just made a very, very big mistake. For the next hour, I meticulously arranged the evidence, ensuring every piece was undeniable. The security footage captured each unauthorized entry into my home. The lab results confirmed Zeus had been drugged. His specialized collars monitoring data revealed a pattern. Someone had been systematically undermining his training. But the final piece, the one that would force the truth into the open, required a phone call. I dialed. James picked up on the second ring. We need to talk about your mother, I said, my voice steady. A pause. Then a sigh. What did she do this time? The resignation stung more than anger would have. 12 years of marriage had worn him down, left him conditioned to his mother's concerned interference. But this wasn't meddling. This was something else entirely. She's been drugging Zeus, I said. I have proof. Security footage, lab results, everything. Silence. Then tightly, she what? She's been sneaking in while I'm gone, feeding him sedatives hidden in treats, trying to retrain him against me. She just called to brag about it. That's not possible, Mom would. I'm sending you the footage now, I cut in, attaching the files. Watch it. Then call me back. I hung up, knowing he needed time. Diana had spent years weaving a careful web, manipulating, gaslighting, always keeping her actions just out of reach of consequence. But this time, she'd made a mistake. She'd left proof. My phone buzzed. Mark, calling from the clinic. Elena, you need to see this, he said, his voice grim. We found residue from the treats in Zeus's bed. The lab confirmed it's a veterinary sedative, prescription only. A cold weight settled in my stomach. Check the clinic's inventory. Anything missing in the last month? Already did. Remember the break-in 3 weeks ago? We didn't think anything was taken, but Diana had been volunteering at the clinic around that time, insisting she wanted to understand my work. I had let my guard down. Send me the security footage from that week, I said. My laptop pinged a new email. James had watched the videos. Before I could call, my phone rang. I'm coming home, he said, voice shaken. I need to see Zeus. Make sure he's okay. He's at the clinic. Mark's watching him. But James, there's more. The sedatives, whoever took them, had to know what they were doing. And your mother had access. A sharp intake of breath. You think she... We're checking the footage now. Another silence. This one heavier. I'll meet you at the clinic, he said finally. Don't do anything until I get there. But it was too late for that. While we were talking, my email to the state veterinary board had already been answered. They were taking this very seriously. Tampering with a certified service animal was bad enough. Add theft of controlled substances, and Diana had crossed into felony territory. When James arrived, his face was pale, his usual easy demeanor replaced by something unreadable. Without a word, he pulled me into a tight embrace. I should have listened, he whispered. All those times you said something wasn't right with her, I should have listened. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. Diana? James looked at me. Should I? I shook my head. Let's see what she says. I put it on speaker. Elena dear, she cooed, her voice dripping with false concern. I just wanted to check on Zeus. He seemed a bit unstable earlier. Perhaps all your traveling is affecting him more than you realized. James flinched. I kept my voice calm. Actually, Zeus is doing great. We just finished his quarterly certification review. Would you like to know what that entails, Diana? A slight pause. I'm sure it's very technical. Oh, it is. We test for all sorts of things, like attempted interference with training, drug screenings, behavioral assessments, monitoring data. It's fascinating what we can detect. The silence stretched. For example, I continued, we can tell exactly when someone drugs them. What was used? How often? It's all documented. I don't know what you're talking about, she stammered, but the confidence was gone. James's voice was sharp. Mom, What did you do? A sharp gasp. James, I was protecting you. By breaking into Elena's clinic? By stealing drugs? By trying to turn our dog against my wife? You don't understand, she pleaded. She's never home. Always working with those animals instead of giving you a proper family. I was trying to help. By committing a felony? I asked mildly. The veterinary board is very interested in discussing that with you. You wouldn't dare, she hissed. I'm family. No, James said quietly. Family doesn't do this. I sent her the final piece of evidence, a security clip of her slipping into the clinic's medication storage after hours, selecting the sedatives she'd later use on Zeus. The sharp intake of breath told me she'd seen it. Like I said, I murmured, everything is documented. The line went dead. James exhaled slowly, running a hand over his face. What happens now? I glanced toward Zeus's kennel. He was calm, wagging his tail as he watched us through the glass. Diana's tampering hadn't changed him. His loyalty, like real family, couldn't be bought with treats or broken with manipulation. Now, I said, we let the system do its job. James nodded. And us. I took his hand, squeezing it. We take care of our real family. And that finally didn't include Diana. The weeks that followed unfolded exactly as expected. Diana's carefully curated facade collapsed under the weight of irrefutable evidence. The police investigation uncovered even more than we had initially found. She hadn't just stolen sedatives from my clinic. She had been stockpiling them for months, meticulously planning her attempt to fix our family. I sat behind one-way glass at the police station, watching as she tried to explain herself. Her usual tactics, tears, carefully measured outrage, fell flat against the detective's professional detachment. I was only trying to help, she insisted, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. That dog was unstable, too aggressive. I was protecting my son. The lead detective didn't even blink. He simply slid another document across the table. Zeus's most recent certification results, pristine and perfect. This is a highly trained service animal, Mrs. Cooper. Your actions could have destroyed years of specialized training. Diana's grip tightened on the tissue. But I'm his mother. I have a right to protect my son. By committing theft and attempting to alter the behavior of a certified service animal. The detective's voice was flat. That's a federal offense. James's hand closed around mine as we watched, the reality of it finally breaking through her carefully woven delusions. The prosecutor offered her a deal, probation and mandatory counseling in exchange for a guilty plea. No jail time, but a permanent record. More importantly, she was legally barred from entering any veterinary facility or interfering with service animals ever again. As we left the courthouse, James exhaled heavily. Do you think it's enough? I thought of Zeus, calm, unshaken, his training unbroken despite everything she had done. It's not about punishment, I said. It's about protection. At home, Zeus greeted us at the door, tail wagging, monitoring collar still tracking his perfect behavioral patterns. Diana's crude attempts at manipulation had never stood a chance against his conditioning. Mark had already submitted the case as a study in service dog resilience. Honestly, he told me, it proves just how solid the training is. Zeus didn't just resist, he documented everything for us. Life settled into a new rhythm. Diana's absence left a complicated void, painful for James, freeing for me. He started therapy, finally unpacking the years of manipulation he had endured. I keep replaying everything, he admitted one evening as we watched Zeus patrol the backyard. The constant helpful suggestions, the undermining, the way she made me question you without even realizing it. How did I not see it? Because she was your mother, I said gently, and she was very good at making control look like care. 6 months later, a letter arrived from her counselor. Diana wanted to apologize in person. She was, according to the therapist, beginning to recognize her behavior. I handed the letter to James. Your call. He read it twice, then shook his head. Not yet. Maybe someday, but not yet. I nodded. Trust, once broken, couldn't be restored with a single apology. That evening, we sat on the back porch, Zeus stretched out at our feet, the quiet hum of crickets filling the air. Diana had tried to break something she didn't understand, but all she had really done was prove how unbreakable it was. You know what's ironic? James mused, scratching behind Zeus's ears. Mom never understood that loyalty isn't about control. It's about trust. Zeus thumped his tail against the deck, looking up at James with the same steadfast devotion he had always had. The monitoring collar still recorded his perfect behavior, untouched, unshaken. Diana had failed, not because she got caught, not because she was punished, but because Zeus had never wavered. And now, finally, neither had we.